ago.
Yeah, we're ready. Call the December 2nd IT committee meeting to order.
Yeah.
All members are present. We'll start off with public comments. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 2, status of final fiscal year 2014 projects. Virtual courtroom, Wi-Fi. Anybody want to report on that?
I don't really know what's going on. I've tried to stay away from that one. It's paid out of Lisa's automation funds. I know that Tim Goodman was here and was wiring 2 days, so I'm not sure. I know I got the bills from area-wide yesterday. I forwarded those on to Lisa to pay, so I'm not sure. Corey, is that finished, do you know?
They are in and working.
They are in and working, okay.
So unless there are issues that because this is very recent, the reason is last week I believe they put in, I would consider that complete.
The assessment move, that's finished too. They did the wiring. There were some wiring issues in Bob's office that needed to be taken care of in addition to moving Debbie down. I have the claim, a copy of the claim here if you guys want to look at it. That one was $690.95. That was paid out of excess money left in the assessment office budget for fiscal 14. So.
I thought it was coming out of zoning.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said assessment. No, it's zoning.
Yeah.
Apologize.
Any comment there, Bob, or anything good?
Just a few glitches. Corey was finishing some stuff up. We had some, typical getting printers lined up correctly with the computers. But as of today, everything was working except Betty's red one, and Corey's probably going to have to talk to Rusty and get with Department of Revenue to figure out some oddball stuff. But that's,
The only thing left on Debbie's move is the phone, moving the phone down there. And I talked to Tim Goodman yesterday, and he thinks he's going to stop by this afternoon on his way back from another job. So we'll get that switched over. I told him 2 things. One, move her extension down there. That's not a big deal. But that you wanted your other ladies to be able to pick up in case Debbie's not there. So setting up that group pickup, he'll do that again today too. So make sure you just mention that and test that before he leaves. Well, like a group pickup, I think, is what he's looking for. So anybody who hears the phone can pick it up who's there. And then the last one is the administration building workstation replacement. There were 8 in the budget, and here's the claims for that. We ended up paying $11,851 for those. We didn't replace the monitors because, I'm talking to Corey, the ones we have are really in good shape, so we're fine. We actually have 3 in storage if we need them for replacement if anybody ever goes out, but those are done. That came out of my budget line item under systems expense, so we're all set there. The little adjustments that Bob was talking about, that's on those 2, because obviously when you replace somebody's workstations, then you have to reset up all their print defaults, make sure all their software applications and everything comes over like it should. So I think we're in good shape there. He's got a couple little things. Marianne is fine. Marianne in my office had hers replaced. There were 2 in zoning. And it was glorious, but I think you replaced one of your counter ones. And then 5 in Bob's office that were replaced then with updated computers. So that's all set. And really in terms of where we're at with the workstation replacement, which has been a 2-year project, I think we're there. Do you know of any others that are left? There are no users. There might be a few old ones yet that are like his other counter, Bob's other counter computer, or
We shut it down.
you did shut it down. That's good, because those are old. That was an old XP.
Yep.
We don't want the XPs running. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Your
what
public
the counter
computer
was.
might be a few of those counter ones that, for public use, that might be the older, but
Well, how many are scheduled next year to roll off? Do you know that?
none. I have nothing for next year.
Unless, like, if she wants to kind of replace it, that are automation.
For automation, yeah. Yeah.
But are we still tracking those through IT yet, or how do we want to manage that? What's your suggestion there? Even if maybe we replace the own computers, we still need to track those on that master list, right?
As long as we have a software agent on the machine, we're able to, in 2 minutes, put a complete inventory of everything we know. So as long as we're aware of it, as long as we have a software agent on that machine, we are able to produce that what we're using.
But it's still, the only thing we do it every year.
Right. Well, see, and it's, I mean, the thing that we kind of backed ourselves into a corner on is, you know, we didn't replace any for a very long time. And then all of a sudden 2 years ago, 2 years ago right now, we hit it hard. So we don't really have anything from a user perspective that's older than 2 years.
No use in replacing 2-year-old.
Right. Right. But it is something we're going to have to look at for next year's budget.
So the same thing would happen.
Exactly. Exactly. That we're rolling those 3 years off and,
Drop out, I'm sure.
And I can tell you, being proactive about that is going to, and I guess kind of common sense, that your buying power is going to be a lot stronger because right now, the majority, if not all, of the manufacturers are charging $50 shipping fees for a PC, but if it goes into a quarter of a month, they're able to bypass that. Now, you shipping, so you can buy 10 machines, that adds up pretty quick, but knowing in advance and not having to do that reactionary, put you in the driver's seat.
that's it for those 3. Yep.
The next one is printer copier maintenance consolidation.
I did meet with Proven, and we went through all the new copiers across. I think I told you a month ago we thought it was going to be maybe a year before we'd consolidate. It's looking like a lot sooner than that, like maybe March. They want to get Bob's installed there. They're talking to the state's attorney. We don't know if Jim will go with Proven or a different vendor, but if he goes with Proven, that'd be another one that would roll into ours. And then they'll take the estimated usage across all of those and probably give us a better rate than what we're getting now. Right now, we pay 0.9 cents maintenance and service fee on each copy as part of, we pay our lease for our copies, and then 0.9 cents per copy. About, for some reason, Lisa Hines got like 0.875 or something. But they're saying we could get maybe even close to half that rate. So it could be quite dramatic depending on what the estimated annual usage is for all these machines added together. And we're targeting a March 1 conversion. So what will happen is everybody that's paid like a quarter, my quarter will end March 31st. I'll pay my January maintenance, but then I'll get a credit back. So they'll prorate them all so that it all works out, so that we pay just up until whatever date we decide to roll off.
Okay. Anything else in the printer?
Nope.
Number 4, /1 Sheriff Department virus.
Right. We did have a virus outbreak this month, that was in Nida's group, I had asked some questions, like 5 questions of Corey, just to kind of get a handle on what happened and how we can prevent it, etc. And that's what you see here. Corey's responses are all in red. So how the incident occurred, the extent of the damage from the malware, how much damage could have occurred, and then the checks we have in place to prevent damage. Because it was really isolated just to Nida's group and Sheriff.
Can I have a copy of that with you?
Yeah, you can have mine. But I really asked Corey and I asked Nida to speak to, I don't have one now, so, to speak about the issues because they're obviously more familiar. From my perspective, I guess my concern was this. You know, how do we minimize this impact? You can never guarantee you're never going to have a virus outbreak, but are we doing the right thing? It's the time to reassess what checks and balances we have in place here and what changes should we make to further protect ourselves. So, Corey, I think I gave you a copy of that. But do you want to speak, or Nida, do you want to talk about what happened? Give the group an overview of, it was a rather serious virus, correct?
Well, I think the thing that everybody needs to keep in mind is, today's environment is completely different than 5 years ago. What we were looking at in this particular situation was a crypto law variant. You hear about this on the news every week. I see it happen several times a month to people in the area who hear about it. Disclose their names, but it happens more often than not. And it's because people don't have a multi-layer protection scheme in place. Okay? What I mean by this is antivirus works strictly off the signature. The only thing that it's going to catch are things that it knows about, things that are in the definition file. Okay? If something gets on a machine that it's not aware of, that's where the trouble starts, and that's why we're seeing so many problems nowadays with machines becoming infected and doing things like encrypting files on a network share, so affecting other people outside of the workstation. Okay, so I think that's what appeared to happen here. It looks like it's a very crypto wall or crypto locker. There's several different names for it right now. And what happens is the machine is infected with some malware. It contacts a command and control center out on the internet. It issues a key to the infected machine, and anything that infected machine has access to on the network, so the local drive or the network shares, it starts encrypting those files. When it encrypts those files, there's only 2 ways to get them back. 1, you pay a ransom fee, or 2, you restore them back. Okay. So, luckily for you guys, you were able to restore it from backup. You have a multi-layer defense strategy in place here. You have a firewall that does intrusion prevention, it does gateway antivirus, and it does what's called deep packet inspection, DPI-SSL filtering, which is able to look inside encrypted sessions. But the problem with this firewall is that it only does like 100 of them. It will not do beyond 100. And you have, I've looked and you're average around 238 to 250 encrypted sessions at any point in time. Okay, so that's where your exposure sits on the firewall level. And that's, one of my suggestions is, it's time to try to look at upgrading the firewall to prevent these things.
What do you mean by encrypted sessions?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, good.
So you type in your web browser, you go to Google.com, everybody does that, right? If you ever look at a URL bar, what you'll see nowadays is automatically it'll redirect you to HTTPS, Google.com, so that's encrypted. What that does is from your computer to the server on the internet I was talking to, it masks that communication so nothing can see what's going on. No device or no person can intercept that data. So that's a good thing, but it's also a problem. Because if you as an organization say, I want to block Facebook, you can't see inside that data stream, right? So all of a sudden somebody able to access Facebook. That's the way these viruses are working also. They say, well, these encrypted sessions, they can't block the firewall. Well, the firewall has the intelligence now actually look inside those encrypted sessions and actually, when you say you want to block Facebook, it doesn't matter if they go unencrypted or encrypted, they block. And that's the only way you're going to stop, I'll say 45% of these command and control viruses or malware that are causing havoc on networks today. So specifically back to 911, it's one of these things that I see this a lot. It's almost impossible to block everything. Your stuff is going to get on the network, whether you want it to or not. It's just a matter of having the right components in the right places to mitigate the exposure and make sure it doesn't turn into a serious problem. And you guys did here. Everybody found out about it quickly. We were able to isolate the machines with the help of 911. We were able to then restore the files and back in business. So,
The question I have about this, I thought we had Computer Associates, and we've had that for years, CA software. As soon as we switched over to the Semantic, we started getting hit like crazy. Why, we've never, it's been a long time since we've had any issue like that. We had CLUD back, you were probably in junior high when we had CLUD. It was like 15 years ago or 20 years ago, we had CLUD, and it was a mess. We found out that the two sources that we had it at, we shut down all the computers, we did a complete clean. It took us like 3 days to get all that done with all of our computers. At that time, we had a lot more computers than we have today. So, why did this all of a sudden happen when we swapped over on software? I know one of our machines supposedly was unprotected. And do you have documentation that shows that was unprotected?
yes, Brian.
From day one, it shows it was.
Brian has the two machines that were not
There's two?
not protected. There were two, yes.
Where's the other one?
I will have to get that specifically for Brian because he helped summarize.
There are two? Just Clint's, right?
There was one machine where the hard drive died.
That's the
And we
same.
could not get it moving. So that one was not present in the console. And the Windows XP machine that,
Clinton?
and then another XP machine looked like that once it did boot, was scanned and there was no incident. So it was two.
The Clint didn't have any virus on it, but it was clean.
Yeah,
We ran
correct.
we ran
Correct.
3 different viruses on it,
Correct.
and virus, or the software on it, and it was clean.
Mhm.
So that one wasn't affected whatsoever by this whole thing, other than we just happened to find it didn't have virus. And Katie thinks that she loaded it, and Kate's attorney's office said the same thing happened. They had one that was loaded, they saw 2 days before that, and it disappeared. And you guys reloaded it. So how does the software disappear?
I'll have to follow up on that because this is the first I've heard of that.
Okay.
But-
They had the same thing happen last week or before last.
Who can I contact about that?
Me, I have the service ticket on that. I'm the state attorney. She didn't tell me it disappeared. We just found that she didn't have it on there, and we loaded it the week before last.
So it's like the same thing happened to that. That's my question, because Amy claims that she saw it on there the day before, 2 days before that. Katie, she ran both machines when she was loading it. When she loaded Eric and Clint, and then all of a sudden Clint disappeared. And I've got a big concern with that because we never went through this with CA, and now we switched over to something that was a cost savers to us. And now I'm a little concerned because now we're getting hit right and left, and it's like, why did this all of a sudden happen? Is it just coincidence? Or is there something there that we're missing? We went and checked the accounting machines that you guys had loaded to double check to make sure that we're loading correctly and making sure that we're check marking the correct boxes and that whole job. We matched with exactly what things we've been doing. It matches with the way you guys loaded things. So that's a big concern to us.
We see you're getting hit
I'm talking about the viruses. That only time that I know of.
Notified, you're talking about infections, because this is the only infection that I'm aware of. So are there more infections, things that bypass the...
No, I'm talking about this one now.
Okay, just, all right,
Yeah.
just making sure.
But I'm afraid of more since PA, we never had this issue with PA. So that's my concern is that.
No, it's a very concern, because I would be worried also if this happened. You know, it's...
If we run PA and it got hit, I'd say, you know, I agree with you, all the stuff that's out there in the world, you're not 100% protected, the software is always as good as it does its scans, as what it believes is out there today, and somebody's creating it as you were scanning it. They're creating a new virus, you know, they're creating something new. You know, that type of stuff, I understand that part. But I've just got real concern that, you know, we've seen now 2 machines on the whole scheme of things that the software has disappeared. And in the old days, I know viruses could do that. I don't know for sure exactly what it is today, but I know viruses could actually eat up your software on your computer. Can that happen today still?
It very well could happen, yes.
Okay, all right.
You know, we had on thousands of machines of this particular product. And the thing that we like about it is one, it's a well-known established company. Everybody knows Symantec in the industry world.
Right.
So one, you know, it's not a startup or it's not a mistake. They've been in this industry, they've been very successful in the antivirus market, and still today we're building their product. Secondly, it gives us a single console to be able to get in and access, you know, different customer networks. Like you log in, obviously you can't see other people's networks, but it's one central place where everything reports. So those are the things that make this a workable solution for us. I can tell you that, you know, the one thing, especially right now here, we do not do, we don't go through and make sure that every department has an antivirus. Once we deploy it, we verify everything that runs, and you know, we leave it at that.
And that's something that we do. Andy, like at least once a month, I send her to all the machines, double check, make sure temp files are getting rid of them so it doesn't slow machines down, make sure the browser area is clean. She's going through, she's double checking it to make sure everything's good. So that's why, you know, before she put Symantec on there, runs everything. She runs malware, she runs everything to make sure that's right. She runs Symantec, and then she moves on to the next machine. So that's why I truly believe that machines were all clean prior to Symantec putting on there. And I've just got a real concern on how all of a sudden we got hit with this when we had PA all this time. My other question is, you guys monitor this, correct? You monitor them? You don't monitor them? So a machine could get it in...
You get notification, as soon as the machine gets hit with a virus, you get the notification that the machine has, I think, Sandy can for 911.
Okay.
Anytime, any malicious activity.
We never got a notification on this. I don't think we did it, but no.
Yeah, because the 2 machines that came from did not have antivirus on there, so they
Which
were not
one?
able to report it.
The machines that had the Trojan weren't the ones that didn't have antivirus on them, correct? The ones that didn't have antivirus were clean, and it didn't have the software on it.
Correct. They did not have it. The one that we felt was the one that had crypto law, and it didn't move to the right after that, which is the one that died. So that's where we felt that variant probably on that machine. If it was an older machine, it started talking to these command and control centers on the internet, came down, and started encrypting all these files locally on the machine as well as the file shares on the server for 911 and only 911. Then maybe it just pushed up the guys because it was old machine, and that's why hardware.
I thought you guys were monitoring these, that's why I'm confused on how this all happened without.
No, you guys, if it detects a virus, you will receive an instant notification.
And how does
The machine's name is.
how does that come across?
That's an email.
Okay.
Yep.
Can we double check that, make sure it's supposed to be in?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain, but I will absolutely double check. There, right. So in this particular situation, just to give you an example, this one machine, just picture this one machine having the malware on it. it starts looking on the network, so the server, and that's where it's created. VM starts encrypting the files. So all these other workstations that have the Electron don't know about the virus on the network. Their only concern is, scanning what's local to them. And if there's not a signature for that particular malware or virus, whatever you call it, I don't care what antivirus is, it's not going to catch it. There's something. I sit through conferences throughout the year. You hear the millions of dollars that the companies spend on trying to stop this, and there's no foolproof way
Right, I
to
understand that.
protect this. The only thing that happens 3 points in my special opinion is 3 points of protection in your antivirus. You have at the perimeter of the network, if you connect to the internet, you have a device that's able to look inside the traffic and find the bad stuff and be able to make intelligent decisions about what can happen and what can't happen. And then the last resort is backups. You can never discount having good backups, because it's things like this, you're zero day. Unless you want to hire somebody paying $200,000 a year to set and watch your security appliance, that's what companies do. There's no way you're ever going to protect everything. Something's going to happen. But if you have this three-pronged approach, you will be safe. You will have ways to recover. Whether it's 911, whether it's finance, whether it's courthouse, it's going to happen. It's going to be.
Okay, I got one more question. In reference to the backup,
Yes.
you guys spent probably 10 hours, I don't know if the bill has been done because I'm sure somebody else will get it, but you guys have spent probably 10 hours in restoring. Is there any way we have access to be able to restore ourselves, our own files? Because I'm thinking this is going to be $1,000 bill.
I will have to look and see.
And if we could have done it ourselves, that was $1,000 that we wouldn't have had to spend.
I will have to look and see if that can be set up. I don't know the answer off the top of my head.
I just would be really interested in that if we could just do it ourselves, because that's a big money saver, because we spent a lot of time, or you guys spent a lot of time on Friday and a little bit of Thursday trying to restore those, and we could have done that ourselves. It would be a big savings to us.
I will look at that.
Thank you.
The next one.
So the key out of that, one of the key things to remember is those XP workstations, that replacement of those, we have to make sure that we're watching those, and that's another reason why we want to always keep a track.
How many are left?
I don't know.
Well, you would know because there wasn't an agent on it.
If there's not an agent, and I don't know.
I'll take a survey of everybody and find out, but it would really, I'll have to ask over at the courthouse. Our only options would be, he doesn't have any more. Mindy, it would be just your counter ones we did replace. Yeah, there'd be a possibility of a few out there.
And just to reiterate, the problem with XP machines, just so everybody's on the same page, they might run fine, they might be fast. It's not necessarily the performance, it's the Microsoft doesn't update and protect them anymore. So when you look at these variants of malware that are getting through infected machines, it just picture your house having 2 doors with a lock on it. With an XP machine, put 12 doors on there with a couple locks on knock, and that's kind of the analogy I use. There's more points to the malware can infect the machine and be more difficult.
Right, and obviously the cost of restoring the machine is more than the machine itself.
Depending on the infection and how important it is, yes, it can be.
Is XP the only common denominator, or is there other?
I will not go to that party because I've seen it even happen with Windows. The good thing is, though, is you guys are doing Windows updates. I'll take not right on top of the update cycles. That's something that we could be better at doing this year. More scheduled maintenance, staying on top of those things. But especially the crypto wall and the crypto locker variants, they're very everything on every operating system. It's more a matter of what your web users policy is for the best that they don't see themselves in the functions.
I think it comes down to
other thing I'm finding is leads to more spending, because now Corey's going to come back, one of the teams that we need to have more server space, I'm sure, and
Not service space, only you use backup space.
sort of that, sorry.
That's which is good, because that's not, when you look at the grand scheme, it's
Cheap insurance.
That's all it is insurance.
And then firewall.
And then the firewall, right now, I forward you, here's the first explanation.
Or half.
Yeah, so I'll go that far. The tricky thing right now is your firewall does a very nice job with the unencrypted traffic. It has the ability to block websites. It has the ability to do intrusion prevention, enable antivirus. It does all those things. But the major limitation of this is that a couple of years old. You just bought it 2 years ago, I think. But the model's been out for a while, so the hardware on it is a little more outdated. So if we enable the features to look inside those encrypted streams, HTTPS, that's where it can only do up to about 100 connections. I mean, you guys are averaging 238, 250. It's a 3 times.
What would be the cost? 3 times larger.
That's what the quote is.
Around $10,000.
I have 2 quotes from Corey. One is to renew our standard firewall software maintenance. That's $1,398, $1,400, which is budgeted. And then the second page is this new firewall appliance feature set for $9,322, which is not budgeted.
This is just where it gets sticky, because I'm just going to read my opinion here.
Right.
You know, everybody uses this, but when it comes to adding something that wasn't in the budget, now it's a little...
Right. It's December 2nd. Seriously.
This is not something just as a body here as it's facing right now. If you get on the news right now, you're going to hear about someone just got hit last week with a major attack that when it affects your hard drive, it erases all the data on your servers, your workstations. It doesn't unlock that. It erases them. And what we stop this stuff is with a firewall and look inside the page. And you guys aren't the only one facing. I know it's not budgeted, I know it's expensive, but
Anita, do you know how much money I have in my automation? Yeah. Not off the top of my head, no. But a lot.
Annual fee, Corey, or?
no, you've got...
One time?
There is a one time, and then I'll just show you, here's you can see it, that's around if you want. This is a one-time fee for these things, and then these are renewed every year. And the reason being is that the vendors have to update this stuff in real time to catch all the latest content and the latest malware that's coming into your network. They're not a build it once and put it out there and protect it. The stuff is constantly evolving, and that's why this always needs a renewal.
Right.
Each year, every year.
Right, the incremental difference is $79.24.
But before you get your checkbook out, here's my problem. This is the same problem I see every time is, you know, let's say one department has computers and one department has, you have how many computers, what's fair, you know, there's no fair way to assess this. Or draw the line at what is shared amongst everybody versus what is departmental. Because obviously, if somebody has an antiquated equipment, we can only make a suggestion to replace that. I can't force that. You know, if you've got 2 old computers on the desk, we can have suggestions to get rid of them. That's just kind of where it's a trust or a group effort to get through this. But we would be willing to pay.
Well, I mean, not everybody has the ability to pay, obviously, and we have a lot of computers. I think we have 14 computers, and you know, our office can use 14 computers. I know it sounds crazy, but we do. Might not be 14, but I'm not sure how much I have in automation, and the county code book project is done, and I think I am paying for that. and I'm not sure how much that is, so I just need to do a little research to see, you know, if I even can help, but I would be willing to, need the security.
And that's great. My whole thing is just like every time we turn around, Corey's coming after me with a...
Corey, that guy.
But we are a lot better than we were. Everybody's got to keep in mind that we're staying, you know, the course, and we're, you know, if we would just let all this last for a couple of years, we would be in the same shape we were in 2 years. We just got to keep packing away at this thing, maintaining it. It just hurts when it's not pleasure.
Would I be mistaken if I understood what you were saying might be addressed by your contacting all of the department heads and discussing the issue with them and trying to at least move in the direction of community decisions and some kind of direction as far as this type of need?
Maybe when you need a pulse for the remaining XPs, just add a little sentence in there to explain this.
The backup needs to be in that conversation.
The backup.
And that's more money too, right? Go on.
The backups are working very well. It's just there's an increase of data storage. That's something that is all coming. We were talking about it, and the time is here. You want more retention of your backups. You need more storage space to work on. The good thing is it's the cheap kind of storage. It's not the real big, expensive appliances. It's a big slow disk. Just more capacity is what we're going for. But there needs to be more space to put these backups.
So then if we look at backups, is this something we need to project a couple more years out? Yeah, just go sidewise that way.
Yes, I put some rough estimates here together, and if it would safely allow for a year to 2 years out on backup estimate, but without having the wholesale river replaced, it allows for expansion. The unit itself would allow for picture another device connected to it with more drives. So all it is just a bunch of hard drives running with proper backup. RAID is what combines all the drives together. So, for instance, if we put what I've got here, some of the rough numbers I worked out because I knew this is something budgeted for, and it's not something that's being decided today. I just want to put in a small part. Some of the things that I found. One of the most cost-effective ways to do this would be to drop a 12A appliance. Here's the 12 drive slots. If you were to put 4 terabyte drives in there, do a RAID of 6, you take 2 of those out, that gives you 10 drives of, we'll say, 4 terabyte capacity. That unit right there, you could have like 40 terabytes. Okay? Right now, I project you needing about anywhere from 13 to 15 for the GFS rotation on you. You got to look at every department. You got to look at all the CNGP, all your databases, all finance databases, probation databases. There's a lot of things. We paid for 3 health servers, health department servers that we put into the environment. And now you're talking about the document scanning. You don't want to put those on the network, because they are. That stuff adds up. And that's nobody ever thinks about the back room, but there's needs there.
Well, my suggestion is we don't really short. We overshoot this 10 years. You're right. You had to give us a grade when you're here today. Where are we at?
I'd say, in all fairness, I'd say a B-, because your application servers
Above average.
You're passing.
Not over here.
Just a piece of thing right off the line, it's right over.
But you came out with it so quickly.
Sure, please.
Your servers are running well, you've got good production storage. The part that scares me the most is the backups. You can only go back so far with those. And then the firewall, obviously, I don't consider that being as big a deal as backups, but it really should be done for all reasons we discussed.
Where do we stand compared to other similar entities?
Exactly the same boat they are.
So
Everybody's facing these same two challenges. More backup space because of the increased data. Nobody thinks about it. Everybody knows now this storage of files on the servers. Everybody's using programs with back-end SQL databases, and you just don't think, how big that stuff is. So storage is a concern. Storage is an issue that everybody's facing right now. And then I think backup storage is an issue that everybody's facing. And then trying to justify moving up into a firewall costs. This is a big paradigm shift for all sizes of organizations. You used to be able to buy a $5,000 firewall and have all the latest and greatest. There's not a case actually. The landscape has changed. You've got to have something more intelligent there to justify a double or triple the cost for something that you never see. It does kind of, but you never see it. It's hard.
So if we wanted to start making the changes 3-4 years ago, what we want to get it right.
It was here with the virus. If we receive one of those type of variants on this network, I would have been very fearful what we would have had to do to try to recover the data. You guys might have ended up being
This grading process, I'm still looking at it from the standpoint, look at Zen, with the camera stuff, server, central server, and all this. Just feel like we were a little from
I'll tell you what, if there was more storage for backups, it would have been an A.
We'll recover now.
So we're just $12,000 away from an A.
But you have to remember that the grade for progress is an A, I would bet.
Right.
The grade for progress is an A, I would bet.
A for effort.
Yeah.
It's a A for effort.
Yeah, until this year. We got a lot of work
You don't normally move from an F to an A.
That's what I mean, it was a lot. You look at what you guys accomplished this past year. There's some big challenges that you overcame. If you walk into the server room and see what's in there, and the fact that you absorbed the health department with absolutely no hardware expenditures, you were able to just migrate all the data into your environment and have an operational system for the foundation to keep health in there. You could do the same right now. If there was another department or 911 or county clerk said, hey, we know the server spot up, that takes an hour to have server provision ready to go, all the networking in place, backed up without any additional cost. So you've got a foundation though.
Well, what's the GIS when you do throw a little bit of that?
When that goes online, storage-wise.
GIS, I remember when you said it here before and had that discussion, I think they were wanting to do something different. It's possible for it to go in that environment, but for whatever reason they have, they really always want to make that their own separate device. So kind of like with health department and Cape Cornerstone.
Cornerstone.
Cornerstone, there are specific devices that they have to keep separate for, I think, regulation purposes.
So the GIS won't know this is...
It will, but I don't know the GIS, the company put a GIS in will do it that way. Some vendors are just very...
It's capable, but they don't want it here. The company doesn't want it here.
So that's just an item you have to have, I don't have any control over. You could, but I don't know if they would.
All right. move on to other IT issues if necessary. Oh, boy. Excuse me.
So just to, I'm going to ask every department what XP computers are left out there and who has money to give to either firewall or a backup server. Right? I just want to be clear. Okay?
And to be,
$2 on the backup.
and if you wanted to do that on a departmental level, if somebody said, I don't care to keep your backup policy, I want this 2 weeks, we could set it on retention per department per day. But if you guys can standardize, counting the whole and say, no, I don't care what you want as a department, you're going to keep so much, data for so long, then we do that too.
There again, I don't want to dictate that, but it would be nice if there were protocols established that they all agreed on, so that we automatically knew the amount of data that's stored is 2, 3, 4, whatever, what is it right now?
We got about 2 months.
So that would be, another way to reduce the backup would be to go to 1 more.
Correct. Yeah, but it's not gonna, at this point, you're so low, it's not gonna go much. I've got a year, I should not be honest, I've got a year, because you need something more historical to go back to, but typically we do a year, we do 12 months, and then we do 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it's in a month, and then we do 4 days. So you got that kind of granularity. And all this is duplicated and compressed, so you have a lot of space there, you just have to populate it and the county there, which you're backing up and say, how's the, I don't know, it all looks pretty valid. I've got looked through files at most of the databases, user file shares, so unless somebody's storing their music or pictures.
And then you haven't given us any sort of an estimate on the backup. At the time we did the budget, you had sent me this email from July 23rd that just kind of said around $9,000 for a backup server. You feel, sorry, that that's still a pretty good...
For the on-site storage appliance here.
That's what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the 12 bags that we were filled up with, the big hard drives that you can buy right now. You'd be right around that number. And then, if you, I went ahead and sized out another appliance too, because one of the issues is, okay, your data sets are growing, and how do you get that off-site? If you wanted to buy a smaller unit, it's still enough capacity to satisfy what you need, around 4,000, you could do that, to have something off-site big enough to automatically replicate your data so that, you didn't have to run to the bank every day with a hard drive.
So what would we do with that? Where would you mean?
Well, that's good. Your software does all this for you.
But what I'm saying is you put the other piece of hardware like at the courthouse?
Courthouse in the basement somewhere, there's a mosquito shelter, there's a county room, and we can put it in our drive, in our data center. That's a discussion piece, but that would automate the complete backup process where no intervention would be ordering, no obligation, coordinate,
No humans.
drive, no humans.
Corey, can I ask, what takes up like the most space or data space for backing up?
Types of data.
Yeah.
There's 2 types of data. There's what's called structured data, and there's unstructured data. Structured data compresses, it compresses and deduplicates very nicely, so we're able to really squeeze the size down. But the kind of data that does not is what's called unstructured data. That means that these files, there's not a whole lot of, there's no rhyme or reason to them. It's hard to create similar matches between this file and this file, so you only need to store these 2 bits. So pictures, music, those type of things do not compress well. If a file is, say, 100 megabits, it's probably going to be saved with 100 megabits. Whereas a structured file, if you have 5 100 meg files, you might only store in 20 meg made for all five, because there's so much commonality between the five, they can press and duplicate it, so it's really small. So, it's,
Well, I guess I'm asking because of recorded documents that are, digital now. Each document is an image file, and we still are backing them up off-site with Fiddler. I know at some point we were thinking about discontinuing that. Is there any benefit to?
well, Fiddler, we're backing Fiddler and the entire server. So you have all.
Is it time for me to cut them loose then?
Oh, yeah. I would.
Well, I pay $2,000 a year, for that.
Right there.
So that amount there
You can
will
throw-
help.
kick it right back our way.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I can check with the bill.
What were remember we talked about that before, we were waiting on something.
It was enabling the offsite, the automatic offsite replication. Right now, the offsite replication is either Amanda preparing hard drives. So that was the only kind of hold up.
But they're still doing that, right?
Yeah, they're still there hard drives, right?
So do you think I should?
You could. Absolutely.
How do we set the back and know for good?
That one was good. That one was good. Yeah, with more storage, you can actually do during the maintenance cycles, you can spin up the entire environment, so it's virtual, spin it up and have it completely isolated from production and verify that it restarts up without anybody on it.
I'm sure any time people will carry one kid to
Yes, so that happens frequently.
we can only have a couple of habits here.
I don't know. It's all a different ways. Yeah, the page name is an issue. You could actually pie count as a successful backup, but because you went to actually restore data off the tape, you really have no
So to close on this issue then, we know we focus on the back end, firewall up.
What was the estimated cost of the firewall?
I can show that here.
Firewall?
It's
$8,000, 1,400 annual maintenance.
So 20,000 will make it legal. Then I'm ready to go with that. And then 1,400.
Oh, yeah, I know what they're talking about, I'm aware of. Yeah.
So are you square with that either, or do you want to fold up?
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna ask them is those two things, really.
The last item on the agenda is other issues if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last, procedure is there we go to an IT policy. I think we should talk about that when Corey's here, because I like to keep that as boilerplate and as effective as possible without having to rush it. Giving suggestions for policy.
That's one of the most difficult things to do with IT is establish policy. I could provide you with a framework for you to then work off and, talk to each department, see what would be acceptable to everybody. Because the hardest thing with the policy is always the exceptions.
Well, here again, we're crossing the line to some extent with the interdepartmental. I mean, they have their own.
Exactly. Because you might say to the county, I always highly recommend things like Facebook and social network. Yeah, and that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. But when you look at probation and sheriff, and I don't know, maybe 911, maybe you have to be on those sites to track clients that you're working with.
Information is legal.
State's attorney says that they're a big issue too. They have to be out there looking at that stuff.
So the policy suits here where this committee has protection over what it owns, and then to some extent, the departments are under required to have some type of policy that have their.
Absolutely. Like for instance, you have, for a department that needs, I guess, less stringent internet filter, constant filter, you might say, okay, that's fine, but it's mandatory. Your antivirus is up to date, you're finding those updates constantly, so even though we're opening the window with the bigger, you can have more visibility, you're really staying on top of the stuff locally to make sure you're not disabling the virus and not letting the machine go months without updates. And, you've got internet radio right now.
So we're, if this committee decided to have you do that, is there a charge or a fee? I mean, how big of a problem is it?
It really is hard to quantify at this point. That could be pretty labor intensive. What I would suggest is I can start a framework for you and help in the process. I would really allow you guys to bang out the details of fill in the blanks. So set things up so that you can have a good conversation. Let what needs to be decided, but not actually try to.
See, everybody thinks that this policy or whatever would just be for monitoring the internet. I'm thinking, let's just say, for example, the sheriff, let's say he puts a camera on every street corner, and it just blows our, bandwidth,
Absolutely.
storage,
That
and then he's like, yeah, do that, they don't have the right to use my chunk of server. Well, no, he is just across the line where he used half of the county's resources.
Right, absolutely.
So that's what I want to establish is some basic rules, protocols that protect the integrity of the whole system.
Yeah, it takes some work.
I mean, right now we're running with trust. I mean, it's all working. Absolutely, that's it.
Absolutely. I mean, I can tell you just from whenever there's a firewall issues, maybe stuff comes to logs, there's people are running stuff that wouldn't really probably want to. I'm not anything major, but things that do take away from bandwidth that could make things a little bit slower. Now they're trying to figure circuit impact it on there. I think we're sharing the T1, but it does happen.
Maybe just to get more complicated.
Security is a very difficult conversation. Kind of the stuff just the impact that it's having on firms and companies.
Any comments from the group? Yes.
One of the questions that I have is, for example, obviously no one at the health department should be doing any social networking. There's no excuse for anybody to be on Facebook. But I have certain departments that need access to the internet to look up med side effects or, whatever. Because I'm not going to buy a new drug handbook every month.
Google
And then I have other ones that need less access. So how do I, what could we, is there any kind of a broad IT policy that would say if it's not related to your specific work area? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm getting at?
Typically what people do is and this is a little more unique for Asian because there's different departments, but if this were a single company that we were talking to about this, typically what they do is, since these firewalls integrate with your network, so they know who the people is. They know everybody is on the network. You're able to then put people into security groups. You have a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 is the least restricted, typically your executives or people that you have doing, research or social media. Tier 2 is people with more restrictions. Okay, at this point, we don't want social media, we don't want whatever else. And restriction 3 is you really should be on the internet except for these sites, and we need to have access to only these sites. That's typically how it's done in one organization. So you can still apply that concept to the department level too. It would just be much more granular. But that's how we usually get around that. And it's just saying who you are. It's in firewall knows who you are as an individual. You can put your security groups to automate that process. And instead of doing not only passwords, it's done through web users and through testing. Yes.
But is there,
Yeah, unless you guys, we could always put a snap on somebody's machine and they could help them in their Active Directory and put people in and out of security groups. That is possible, but it's not like you guys have a lot of changeover here. People aren't coming and going constantly, so once it's set up, all you say is somebody who's hired, they get them the same security level as blah, 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 and just drop them into the security.
Essentially, we have some standard blocks on our firewall. Anything social media, sports, news. Oddly enough, Yahoo doesn't count
Unless
as
it's
news.
encrypted. Remember, if somebody opens up an encrypted session, they're able to log that stuff.
I don't either.
The HTTPS. If I say I'm going to block yahoo.com, you type in www.yahoo.com, and it comes up, page blocked, you can't go there. Type in HTTPS, www.yahoo.com. It's encrypted, and the firewall.
Oh, don't be telling us.
The
Why would you that in the paper?
before you go around the problem, you can't maintain that many of those HTTPS.
That is the firewall.
No, we have to do it this way.
You're bigger with that close.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Most of our users really don't know about that or didn't before today. So it kind of was monitoring. So they would know, oh, oops, that's blocked, and not go any farther.
It's a friendly message. It says, when you're blocked.
Not overly friendly, it's kind of large.
I've seen worse.
Yeah.
It's not like skull.
Yeah, right. But, and then we have the group that we just kind of don't have that.
Right.
So we have something now.
Yeah, you have something. It's, like I said, it's kind of I'll say 75%.
We had it already early.
So when that pop-up comes up, I've never seen that, when that pop-up comes up, let's just say, that I needed to get to that site for some reason. What would, and I'm just going by our, the past experience from FIPHD. If I tried to get on, a site there that I wasn't supposed to get on, I'd get a pop-up box and ask for an administrative code.
Oh, it doesn't ask for that.
Okay.
We have a request, we have a link, you can actually request that you get access to it, there's no code. And I have to look to see if there's other products.
So that's not how this works. This just comes up, says you're blocked, too bad.
Well,
They call
you can get around it.
what happens now, it happens with like the sheriff's department or something. I mean, at one point after we changed the server, there were a lot of them. because they were, like, where they go to
For weapons.
buy their weapons and things were all blocked. And so they just call me, and then I work with area-wide and get it unblocked by that user. But it's not for everyone, it's just, like I said, it's just that those users, we specify by user who can go to some of these other sites. So you would just let me know if there's a site you need to get to and you can't get to, and they will figure out how to loosen the control so that you can do the job you need to do.
Okay, but when they loosen the control, that doesn't loosen it for the whole department,
Oh,
it's
no.
just for that user?
No, no.
That user. So back to the policy, what's the committee think on taking a little action or moving in what direction?
This policy is more of a departmental, like addressing load conditions on our server, or
Well,
when you say IT policy,
there's two tiers to it because we have to control what
How
we're
to
in
use
charge
it.
of.
how to use
And then we have to get a second layer of that all these departments agree upon, that would work. Or do they have to define their own policy? I'm not. But then when they do that, then it might not coincide with what we have and it won't work.
The whole discussion needs to start, especially with the elected officials, but all department heads, it needs to be initiated from them back to us. It needs to be acceptable and designed by
There is,
the department
there
heads.
is, I can imagine certain departments that social network is a big thing for them. They know what's going on,
And
In
that
the retail
problem-
industry, you need to know what's going on in a lot of times, social network.
And that probably not for every individual in that department.
But in the meantime, we can still work on our policy to protect our equipment.
Right. So, how do you determine what language you're going to use in parts of it? There's our internal IT policy, which is more of our department address the server. And then you've got another issue dealing with usage.
So maybe something that is more user-based as opposed to department-based. Is that what you're,
Right.
is that a good way to say it? Is that
And
what
what's the terminology
Then there'd be three.
on this one?
Which is good enough. You've got user-based, department-based, and you're still us.
But us still has to be agreed to by the department heads.
No, because our responsibility is to protect this equipment. The policies for the user, we don't have control of that.
But we're talking about equipment that's owned by departments also, correct?
Yeah, but we're paying for that, most of it. And this group right here is in charge of it performing every day. No department's in charge of that. We're responsible. If that crashes tomorrow, Corey's going to
And after a week, we're down.
So that's where it almost has to, I agree with you 100%, these departments have to have a policy, but when it comes to the actual, if you picture the Wizard of Oz, and the one behind the curtain, that's ours, we have to protect. Because we're providing a service up into a certain point for all these people to plug into. Is that a good way to describe that? Where it gets handed off at some point to these departments.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. Yes, you are providing them a service, they're running the servers, and there's some, where that station comes to, you're right. This committee's job to make sure that infrastructure is run, you've got to ask the government, so there is one bad apple, take one of those.
So it's almost like we have to move to a certain point, we're done. And then they have to develop ideas that agree upon something that ties that into what we're responsible for. But how do we get there?
Well, I don't think we're going to get an answer on it today. You know, what Dale mentioned, making sure all the department heads go in 2 cents, you know, what they're doing with it. And just address, just need to address one side at a time out, 3 steps, 2 rights, but address them one at a time and usage or how much load on our system, technology, saves.
How do other people allocate the resources? Do you have a similar situation, you know?
Not really. You know, there's features development also where we can actually assess the departments or individuals a lot for, that typically people, when they start trying to write policies and narrow down who's going to get what, it's going to get a lot.
Well, I tend to agree with that.
Because there's very, you create a policy, it's going to be constantly reviewed, because it's going to be a living document, things are going to have to change, something new, technology is going to come out for a new kind of site, or more bandwidth is going to be used by somebody as opposed to somebody else. So it's definitely one of those things that we would always going to be discussing.
Why don't we do this? This would be my suggestion to the committee. That we ask Corey what it would take us to give us a starting framework for one. And does that also include the framework for the departments to follow through when
They can.
and then at the same time, I'm going to pull outside a few places to do it. I can pass that as well. If we can ask them if they're sure of something, we'll try to take then do we need a motion for that?
You know, time for the question is,
No.
Just move forward, I wouldn't see a need for a motion.
document what we want to go.
And then I think this should go on the agenda monthly for
Doesn't think there needs to say something about the Department of Defense, look at that, is that suggested by forensic auditor? That has to have a lot of levels. Yeah, I know, but just throw it out there, I don't even know how you would access it, but there's the initial, not in depth.
We'll look at it, though. I mean, what if it were one page or something?
Yeah.
We can't. How many of those you do you currently manage any other counties? How many? How many better?
That was a B minus.
Can you share the rate? Any other IT issues?
Nina, do you have any problems with intake component connectivity?
I haven't heard of that.
Like our, and it goes to speaking on the radio. In a different way. I click on it and bring it back up, but, I'm trying to figure out our CAD is slower than it has been when you go to move from one thing to the other, you just get the circle that sits there.
Okay.
And we just can't seem to get connected good since we switched over to servers. I guess that's good for it. But it's unsafe.
All the way since last spring?
On and off.
Huh.
And now I just noticed this weekend, it's, well, when did you reboot? Thursday? No, Wednesday. Wednesday she rebooted to see if that would help. And it's just, we're slowly getting slower.
One of the things that we have is any single application, but the check with, check SQL, there's automated routines in SQL that purge log files and try to get drag on hard drive,
Right.
it's closer. Check with versus if there's an automated maintenance routine that's running.
I believe there is. Hopefully it goes back up with us at night. Yeah, but I'm talking about the routine of, I believe there is. But we'll double check it. We'll double check it.
Yeah, general maintenance and also it's good, but
Okay.
it's progressively getting a little bit slower, but that's not set.
It's just when we're real busy, then you gotta sit there and wait, because you're not used to that. You're used to longer. Well, I was working 2 to 10, it's going to be during the whole. And I mean, it was even on Thursday and Friday, so there was no use as far as that goes. I mean, should have just been totally up in the gym. Yeah.
Okay, well, but if you want to ask, definitely, you're going to do it, maintenance, not just that.
No, I know what you're talking about. Is that what it was? What's that word about?
You know, you mentioned like maintenance on the software, like your housekeeping.
Yes.
Maintenance thing where it goes in and compacts the data.
Automatic range, yeah, exactly.
Versus another server versus activity, in other words, we want to get out of that server and back in.
Yeah, because it's,
You know, whenever there's, when there's something installed, activity, workstation, the workstation server, just on the server, there's different areas you gotta look at.
any other IT issues or questions for Corey? If not, I entertain a motion.
Motion adjourned.
Okay.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Both take time. Meeting adjourned. That's straightforward.